watching on the live stream. I remember even back in 6th grade thinking of this day. Back then, I always imagined graduation just as the end of my educational career. I'm not completely sure why I enrolled in Academy and didn't even think of college in my life plan. I suppose my 6th grade self just didn't have very high aspirations. Fortunately, a lot changed over the 7 years I spent at Albuquerque Academy. I grew a couple of feet, lost my baby fat, and even began to sprout a little facial hair. I made numerous friends and witnessed many incredible feats by truly talented colleagues. I developed a calm, understanding, and accepting demeanor through my interactions with our small community, and most importantly, although it may have taken me longer than many others, I discovered a genuine interest in academics. By the time the end of junior year came around, chubby little uninspired Danny made a full-blown transformation into the person I am today. By that point, I hadn't put in a smidgen of thought into the college application process, but I at least knew that I was definitely going to college. I now recognize graduation as more of a beginning than anything, and it finally made sense to me why they would call this ceremony the commencement ceremony. It was only about a month ago, when I discovered that I would be speaking here today, that I finally began to think seriously about the sentimental value of this day. I quickly realized that it was inaccurate and entirely too simplified to view graduation as either a beginning or an end. The varied and complicated feelings that permeate throughout the tent today make it evident that the graduation ceremony is unique in the diverse array of emotions it brings to every student, family member, and faculty. The class of 2013 sits in our fancy white plastic chairs. We feel excited at opening the next chapter of our lives. We're all dressed up in our styling, eco-friendly gowns and caps. And we're all anxious to get that diploma, seal the deal, and get the hell out of here. Still, amongst all the eagerness and excitement, there's an obvious hesitance present as our world begins to change so quickly. We think back on our 7 years at Academy, on both the good times and the bad. We remember things like that exciting morning in the 8th grade commons, watching the epic cat fight going on. And that slightly shameful afternoon that followed, when we got reprimanded for just kind of sitting there and watching. We remember all the fun we had in our junior year powder puff dance, and the image of Garrett with cupcakes smashed in his dense forest of chest hair certainly has a special place in our minds. Those of us who partook in the dancing definitely remember spending the following few days cleaning oil and cupcake off the track and getting reprimanded for, as I understand it, being entirely too sexy. The number of memories we share is huge. Even so, there's a sense of disbelief that 7 years have actually passed since we arrived here. Because we're from Academy, we've all done the math in our heads. 7 years? That's 38.88% of our lives, we think quietly to ourselves. But not only is our time at Academy a large portion of our lives, it is a vital portion. Just like little chubby Danny, each one of us has made a transition. The personalities that we developed in this period of growth and self-discovery were molded by our interactions with our teachers and with our peers. For this reason, it is hard not to at least feel a little uneasy as our long period together comes to an abrupt end. Our parents sit staring at us with pride on their faces. They're excited to see their children matured and prepared to move into the world, but they too are hesitant on this day. Even they, who have a little more experience in the change that life brings, feel overwhelmed at the change this ceremony foreshadows. For some, it is their first time having a child move out. For others, it is their last, and they are nervous to find out how different life will be with an empty nest. Many have been waiting to see this day for years, and others are still relieved that their child actually made it to this day. What they all share is the fact that their child is moving out at the end of the summer. Now, while there might be a few sassy parents out there pretending to be excited not to have to deal with our shenanigans anymore, everyone knows deep down that they are going to miss us. It's this sentiment, shared by all the parents here, that competes with the excitement and happiness of graduation. The teachers and faculty, I imagine, are absolutely devastated. Because they are about to lose the precious gem that is the class of 2013. They have some hope that maybe one day a class might come by and rival our greatness, but in the back of their minds they know it's probably just not going to happen. I'm sorry, guys. The friends and relatives, if they feel anything like I did at past graduation ceremonies, are ready to get to the good part of graduation where they actually see people graduate. So I'm skipping you. Welcome. I myself feel a little nervous to be talking to more people than I ever have in my life, but other than that, I feel the same excitement as the other 168 soon-to-be college students sitting behind me. As for the hesitance, the fear of change, and the sense of disbelief that all of this is actually happening, I'm doing my best to simply push that aside for now. You see, in the last few weeks of high school, I, as I'm sure many others did, got pretty used to procrastinating with my assignments. It's interesting. One might think that having the end be so tangible would be motivation to finish the last few big assignments of high school as fast as possible. That wasn't the case, however, as I continued to ignore whatever assignments I could for as long as I could. Nevertheless, I found myself very stressed and very tired when our final week of classes came around. I vowed on that last Friday morning at about 2 a.m. that I wouldn't let myself procrastinate ever again. Then, 5 weeks after my last class, 6 weeks after I found out I was doing this speech today, and a week before graduation day, I finally began writing. But quickly got distracted doing any other thing I could possibly do with a computer. In an effort to justify my unavoidable laziness, I began searching for a beneficial use for procrastination. I quickly decided that procrastination may be used effectively on the uneasy feelings that disrupt this exciting day. If I just ignored all of those daunting worries, like I ignored my second semester assignment, I enjoy just the pure excitement of graduation. It turns out it is actually rather easy to delay the negative feelings about graduation. You simply have to recognize the fact that while commencement ceremony triggers paranoia about the impending change, we are not yet at that point of change. We still have this entire summer ahead of us, our final break to enjoy being together before we part ways. It seemed obvious that we should do our best to enjoy this time and save our concerns for some time at the end of August, when facing them becomes inevitable. Live it up with your friends and spend some precious time with your families. For now, push any worries of college out of your mind. Our immediate future has already been decided, and any thoughts of concern at this point are just silly. Let our feelings of hesitance rest, and let today be a day of excitement, pride, and epic celebration.
Woo!